Hi class, I wanted to make a quick video. I should have done this last week, but better late than never. So one quick note about Module 3 rhetorical analysis essay. I have gotten your assignments that you posted, and I'm going to get grading them. But one thing I noticed is that nobody in the class submitted their reflective cover letter, which was also due on Sunday. So I'm not sure if that was, my fault that I didn't make that clear enough, because not a single student submitted that. I will extend that deadline to tonight, Tuesday, April 5th. So I will not count it late if you get your reflective cover letter submitted tonight. So let me go ahead and, remind y'all about that, and I will remind you in class as well. All right, back to the researched essay, what we did in class on Tuesday. So for the benefit of people who aren't able to get to class, or wanted to review what we did. Tuesday, we talked again about the writing the thesis statement for the rhetorical analysis essay, and that was due on Sunday night, and I had 3 people submit that assignment, and so the rest of you really need to get that final thesis statement in. And remember, what we talked about in class on Tuesday and Thursday of last week was your thesis statement. You want to go back to the proposal thesis statement, and you're going to change that and make that a essentially an impartial, objective thesis statement, wherein you explain the 2 or more viewpoints on your controversial topic and what you're going to objectively present. Remember, you're not arguing for one side or the other. So if we go back to the PowerPoint on this research paper, we're going to go back to this right here, the descriptive PowerPoint. Let me launch it. So in this PowerPoint, if you remember, there's a slide starting maybe 6 slides in. It's this slide that says thesis statement. So, and I will go over this again. So your thesis statement for your an essay research paper should be centered on an inclusive statement. In other words, you're going to include both perspectives in your thesis statement. You're going to inform your reader about both perspectives. And you're going to provide that overview and predict what your paper is going to be about. So the sample I had here was if your issue is about prescription drug abuse, which is clearly a controversial and emotionally laden topic, your thesis statement is going to address all or both sides or multiple sides of the issue. So you might say something, decide that your perspectives are going to deal with the various reasons why prescription drug abuse is so prevalent, or you're going to look at various ways of tackling prescription drug abuse. So you might say something to the effect of, prescription drug abuse needs to be looked at both from the side of rehabilitation of the addicted person, and also looking at it from the side of the effects on the families. So you might look at, again, the effects on the individual who is the abuser and the families who are a second set of stakeholders. Or you might look at the rise of prescription drug abuse from the doctor's perspective, as well as from the pharmaceutical company's perspective. So you want to pick your different perspectives, and that's kind of the difficult part. But then you're not going to argue for one side or the other. You're presenting both sides. You're informing the reader about about this information. So one example I had in the next slide is the issue of physician-assisted suicide, which again, that's a controversial and emotional topic, has primarily two opposing viewpoints, one focused on the ethics of doctor obligations and the other on human rights. So we have two perspectives, 2 points of view, and then this paper would have a section going over the background of those doctor obligations and explaining that to the reader, and then have a second section on explaining about patient rights. So that is what you're doing in terms of your thesis statement. And once you get your thesis statement, once you analyze your topic and say, okay, I want to inform my readers about these two viewpoints or these two perspectives on my topic, then the rest of the paper falls into place. So back to this PowerPoint. So the next slide in the thesis statement slides, I say, as you can see, the thesis statements above don't present the topic in the form of an argument, but in the form of a statement that clearly communicates or forecasts the essay's contents. And this analysis will often analyze different points of view on an issue or topic, but it won't support one side or the other. You're presenting both sides or all three sides of the topic. The topic is going to be debatable, but the purpose is not to persuade, but to inform. So back to Thursday's class, that was something that, well, we really talked about that on Tuesday, but you really want to get to writing that thesis statement and reviewing those sources from your annotated bibliography and posting your final thesis statement as well as the sources that you're going to use in this research paper. Remember, you need 5 sources. You have 5 sources, but you need to review and make sure they're still useful to you in this paper. If you submit your thesis statement to me, I will review it and I will help you with it. For the 3 people who have already submitted their thesis statements, for all of them, I made comments. So please get that to me and I will comment and I will get something back to you. The other things that were due on Sunday night had to do with your 2 discussion boards. It was your quote sandwich discussion board, wherein you're learning to synthesize information and incorporate quotes into your writing in terms of using signal phrases to introduce the quote, using the quote appropriately, and then following up with some sort of discussion about what was important about that quote. And then that paraphrase activity discussion board. So that was what you needed to finish by Sunday night. And if you haven't done it, go ahead and get that finished. You'll still get points. So this week, what we're going to get to today in class is we're going to go over the outline instructions and sample outline. Then we're going to read through the sample paper 2 in class, and we're going to work in small groups on reverse outlining that sample essay so you really feel comfortable with the form of this research paper. And that's what we're going to tackle today in class, as well as work on thesis statements again, because that's really the main. If you don't have a good thesis statement for this, you're going to be kind of floundering. If you have a good thesis statement, it should be a pretty straightforward paper. So I will see you in class and get that, go ahead and get that reflective cover letter for Module 3 done and work on that thesis statement and get that to me.